What's up, Market Snipers? This is Jesse. It's about 10 minutes after 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we just got off the live stream just a couple of hours ago. So a lot of this has to do with what we talked about on the live stream. We spent over, I think, hour and 20 minutes or more. So if you missed that one this morning, don't worry, jump on the replay because it's still valid, it's still relevant, and you could even go back to previous live streams and kind of watch how we've been talking about the markets, possibly rolling over. You could also take a look at the video from 9 days ago, is the stock market crashing. We talked about the Bitcoin and crypto. All those, you can go back to those videos and they're all still relevant today. But this one is going to be about Bitcoin and Bitcoin. But the reason why I'm bringing it up is because many hope or many believe that Bitcoin will finally break correlation with the overall stock markets. And I'm going to say, and what I've been continuing to say for the past couple of years is that it's not going to break correlation until it finally breaks correlation. So I would bet that it doesn't break correlation. And I think it's becoming more and more correlated the more things that they bring on to Bitcoin, more paper Bitcoin. For example, Bitcoin futures. They're trying to get Bitcoin ETFs out there. There's Bitcoin trusts out there. So all of that creates paper Bitcoin. And so the more paper Bitcoin they create, the more correlated I believe it becomes. So unfortunately, not to be the bearer of bad news, I apologize. I'm sorry. That's not me. That's just the way I see it. I'm just calling it how I see it. And maybe I'm proven wrong. And I hope that I am proven wrong because I would make a lot more money to the upside versus shorting it to the downside. So with that, we're going to take a deeper dive here. We're going to jump in and let me make the screen a little bit bigger. Help me reach the goal of hitting 500 likes. I know we could do it. I know we could do it. I know we could do it. This is going to go out to the free newsletter. This is going out to YouTube for free. This is going in the Discord. This is going out onto the X app. You know, everything is lined up to hit those 500 likes. Help me, help you, help me. Okay, let's jump in. So this is the Bitcoin weekly chart, right? Had the big move down, had the bullish divergence, had the breakout. We talked about it all. Had the bearish divergence, right? Talking about the breakdown. Talking about the breakdown. We talked about price potentially coming back down, hitting targets, possibly finding support at those targets and or the 200-week moving average, and then bouncing, right? And then potentially putting in a lower high and building out a lower right shoulder before resuming back down to hit further targets. So with that, let's turn the drawings back on, right? And so you can kind of see what we're talking about. And again, go back to previous videos, go back to previous streams, and you're going to see it, right? We talked about this. We talked about it above 29,250. We talked about it. I've been talking about it. And down here, we're talking about at 25,000. We could see a bounce, may take a couple weeks or months to play out. It's a weekly chart. It bounces. And then is that it? That's what it seems like. It seems like that is it. We talked about this. This could be that lower high we talked about. And of course, it could continue back lower. So let me clean this up a little bit. So we hit multiple targets to the downside, found support, and then we had targets to the upside. 3 of the 4 targets have been hit so far, right? This was circling on the live stream that it was the bearish divergence. That's circling there. Why do I think this is the lower high? Well, there's a few reasons why, right? Number one, the overall stock market is crashing, right? The NASDAQ seems to be delayed a little bit from the S&P 500, from the Russell 2000, from the Dow Jones. The dollar is bullish. It had already broken out. The VIX is bullish. The 10-year yield continues to be ultra bullish. Silver's crashing. Gold is crashing, right? So all of those lined up seem like that Bitcoin could be next. I actually think that Bitcoin kind of led the way to the NASDAQ, is putting in a lower high. But I think silver and gold are leading the way on Bitcoin, right? So this is kind of where I got this whole idea of breaking down, coming back, building out a lower high and putting in a right shoulder. Well, silver was doing that, right? Lower high. And now silver is back below the 200-week moving average, right? Gold did that, right? Broke down, put in a lower high, put in a lower high, and is now trending back down to the 200-week moving average. So, Bitcoin is its own asset, it's doing its own thing, but at the same time, there are a lot of similarities, right? So, this is what we're going to look at here on the daily chart. So you can see we're talking about breaking down, right? Then we'd find out if it put in, was going to find support. It did put in that bullish divergence, followed by hitting target 1, target 2, and even wicked up into target 3, right? So even though the chart still looks bullish on the weekly and the daily chart, it seems like it's pretty much over. And I put out there on the live stream that it's still a possibility, but I think it's less likely that Bitcoin finds support, comes back up in the target 4, and then rolls over. I now think that's a lower probability. Possible, but it doesn't seem probable, right? So as we continue to drop down to lower time frames, you have to drop down to the 4-hour chart to see the sell signal, right? That's the earliest sell signal that we have, and that's at about 27,350 roughly on Bitstamp, right? Each exchange is going to be a little bit different, but there is a sell signal on the 4-hour chart. So if we're looking at it overall, right, you've got you had the RSI sell signal back this morning at 1. What was it this morning? Yeah. No, yesterday at 1 p.m., right? So yesterday at 1 p.m. had an RSI sell signal on the 4-hour chart, and it just seems like it's going to continue to break down, right? So this could be that lower high, and we'll see if it's going to start to break down as quickly as the Nasdaq, right? So it's still RSI is about 41, whereas the Nasdaq, reached all the way down to on the 1-hour chart 32, and even for a brief moment hit 30, right? Even started to go below 30. So that's the really lower time frame. So now we want to kind of zoom out on the overall chart from going back deeper, right? So one thing that I noticed is that like after the last cycle rally here, if you kind of look at it here, the last rally, right, had a big correction down and even came back all the way below the 200-week moving average, right? And if you put on like the anchor VWAP, it came back down and hit this blue line, right, from the very top. So if we do that again, right, there are some similarities. These targets would say that price comes all the way back down below the 200-week moving average again, right? And it's possible it comes all the way back down, hits this final target, and hits this lower deviation band 1 of the anchor VWAP, and that's coming in right at about 18,400. That would put in a slightly higher low from this low here on the weekly chart. So the low here on the weekly chart is, let's go ahead and put that on and take it off the gap dotted line. I like to keep the dotted line for the gaps. Obviously, you could probably tighten it up a little bit more here on the weekly chart, right? So if it were to hit all these target boxes, and it may take some time to play out, this is a weekly chart, it could still put in a higher low and then continue upward before the next halving, right? That's still possible. I'm still in the camp of hoping we get another bull run, right? But we don't know what the overall stock market and the overall, economy and all that stuff is going to do. But I'm still in the camp that we still hopefully get a new another Bitcoin crypto bull run, and that would be awesome. And that kind of all lines up, right? So if this is the peak of the rally, and you draw out the trend line from, and assuming this is the lower high wick, right? You kind of draw it out. You can see that these targets could get hit prior to the next halving, however it plays out, and then start to break back out to the upside. And I think a lot of people would be ultra bearish at that point. The only thing to consider, this is like the hopeful. This is like my positive thinking. This is like what I'm hoping that we get. There is another scenario, right? There is one more scenario. The other scenario is that if Bitcoin follows, if the NASDAQ were to follow other stocks and retracing to the March 2020 lows, then, and if Bitcoin is still correlated to the markets, like the NASDAQ and, similar to like tech stocks and stuff, could we see Bitcoin come down and retest the March 2020 lows? I don't know. We'll leave it on the chart for now. I'm going to stay optimistic that we put in a higher low, but we'll be prepared for that, right? That would be insane. I think a lot of people would be taken by surprise. We have all scenarios placed on. As of right now, it's just looking like a lower high. I'm hoping we put in a higher low and then we catch the next breakout, right? Whether it's the next target, the next target, or even possibly this lower target here, right? Find support and then break out. This is my hopeful, this is my wishful thinking. This is what I truly, truly want to happen. But we will be prepared if NASDAQ retraces back to the March 2020 lows, similar to Amazon, similar to Meta, similar to Netflix, similar to Disney, and the list goes on and on and on and on of major stocks. If the NASDAQ does that with the Magnificent Seven, I don't see how Bitcoin doesn't do that, right? So we'll take it level by level. This is my honest, hopeful, and thought that it will happen is that target 1, 2, or 3, and then try to play a breakout. If the NASDAQ continues to crash down, I'm going to change my tune. And how will we know that it's going to be something bigger, right? Well, if it does not find support at these target boxes, right? That's how we're going to know. And that's how we're going to know is continued further downside below that, right? So below that, if it doesn't find support at these target levels and it takes out this low, then this is on the table. And we'll be watching the NASDAQ, we'll be watching Dow Jones, silver, gold, DXY, 10-year yield, all that stuff. So we don't have to worry about this until it hits this next target. We don't have to worry about this target. We don't need to worry about this until it hits this target. We don't need to worry about this target until it hits this target. We don't need to worry about this target until it hits this target. So with that, those are my overall thoughts. This is a little bit deeper dive on Bitcoin. It's about 12, 13 minutes. Thank you for your support. I appreciate you. Please keep hitting the subscribe button, sharing it on all your social media, everything, emails, everything, free newsletter, hitting that like button, subscribe, hit that like button, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. We'll see you on the live stream tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.